Today's gospel story is about an unnamed rich man who ignored the poor outside his gate, beyond his vision. He didn't mean any harm. He wasn't a villain. He didn't, in the story, ill-treat the poor man. He simply wasn't concerned with what happened to him. The rich man chose not to see his misery, and he was blind to the consequences of the poor man's poverty. Now, mind you, there was no indication that his riches were ill-gotten. Probably he was a very good businessman. And isn't that the goal of business? To make money? Is it really? We Americans must come to realize that there are businesses making money in countries run by a privileged and wealthy minority at the expense of a vast underclass of underpaid, barely subsisting people for whom justice under the law is a mockery. Our leaders shrug in indifference. Many invest in countries where unions cannot be allowed, where there are no laws providing safe working conditions, no laws forbidding children from working. Now, such businesses do make a profit, obviously. Yet they insist that they mean no harm to the people whose dire poverty makes possible their affluence. Such people are not villains. They simply choose not to see and not to hear the scathing denunciations of the prophet Amos, not to hear Jesus warning that there will be a day of reckoning. So, what Amos is denouncing and what Jesus describes in the person of the rich man is very familiar to us. It's being repeated today in our time. And we are not even shocked when we meet it in everyday life. So why do Amos and Jesus denounce the unconcern of the haves of this world? Is it wrong to be a successful businessman? Whatever the profession or trade or work line? Is it wrong to have riches to enjoy the fruits of hard work and success? Be it the wealth of us middle-class people or the very rich and famous? And the one answer we get from these readings, and from many, many others, especially in the Gospel of Luke, the one answer we get is yes. The accumulation of riches is wrong if the wealth described leads people to ignore the sufferings of others. So what must we self-described disciples of Jesus do as we hear the unsettling and very uncomfortable teachings that come from our faith? The Lord Jesus burst upon the scene as a light shining in the darkness. Now, Jesus came to a profound awareness of his genius, his extraordinary gifts of mind and heart, but he knew them as gifts from the one who loved him and who wanted to be called Father to all. And the Father would have Jesus love him, not just the gifts given. And Jesus loved the one who loved him by reaching out to all the others whom God loved. And this gracious, understanding, self-giving Jesus insists that all self-centered, luxurious living that fails to care about, to do something about, to be passionate about the sufferings of others is judged harshly by God. The challenge of the rich man in the story, and compared to most of the world, most of us are pretty well off. And so the challenge is for us as well, to see the danger in whatever wealth are ours. What we have is a gift, assuredly, and also a trust. You know, who we are and what we have is to be used certainly for ourselves, but also to be used for others. We are servants, we are stewards. We do not possess, we do not own. And our temptation is to think that it all comes from us. But if we really look at ourselves, we will know that it comes from our genes, and from the people from whom we have sprung, and from the great educations that we have received, from the luck of the draw, just who we are. And so we are tempted, because we think it comes from us, to hang tightly on what is ours. Politicians on both sides of the aisle know this, and they vie with one another. And this richest nation in the world ranks far down on the scale in relationship to other industrialized nations by way of health care and by way of infant mortality. We are not at the top of the list. We disciples of Jesus have a mission to our nation, to counterbalance an exaggerated individualism with a sense of community, based not on economic or political theory, but on the teaching and way of life of the prophets and Jesus of Nazareth. The Lazarus of this world are visible to us. We cannot fail to see them. They're no longer at our gates, but TV brings them into our living rooms, as do movies and magazines and books. They acquaint us intimately with their sorrow and deprivation. So what do? Well, we can face and grapple with the facts of poverty and the consequences in our society. And compassion and feeling must translate into a passion for justice, for compassion in action. All the institutions of our society, the church, business, labor, government, must value the disenfranchised of our society. Not in slogans, not in words, not even just in prayer. No, in deeds of compassion and power and caring. And then we, like Jesus, will come to really know that all is gift, which leads us, like Jesus, to love the one who loves us by loving all the others whom God also loves.